Hello everyone, thank you for your participation. I'm so glad to be here today and introduce the Wind Financial Terminal to you. Today, we are going to introduce how the Wind Terminal empowers money market and interest rate bond trader in the financial market. This topic will be separated in two parts. Let's start it with the first part first. Okay, so before we dig into the terminal, I would like to introduce our company briefly. Wind was founded in year 1998, and after over 25 years of dedication, we have become the leader of financial information provider in China. And our clients, including the world top investment banks, as well as the research agencies, financial institutions, regulators, listed company, and so on. Now our office operates not only in mainland China, but also in Hong Kong, Taiwan, Singapore, New York, San Francisco, Luxembourg, and London. I strongly believe that our service will satisfy research needs for all financial participants. Okay, here is a brief introduction of our company, and then we can start with our course. In today's course, we will introduce the functions related to money market and the interest rate bond in the viewpoint of trader. The whole session will include three parts, which will help the trader to have broader insight in the bond market. Okay, first of all, before trading, the trader need to have some preparation. The news sector will help them on that. And second, if we are going to make a trading on interest rate, some key component we should take into concern. And finally, in the viewpoint of interest rate bond trader, how to take a quick view on the whole bond market trend and monitor them will also be introduced. So therefore, after my presentation, you will control related bond skill with our terminal. Okay. So let's start with our first part, pre-market preparation. In the morning, before the trading, it is necessary to get the overnight market condition before the market opens. So among them, the most important aspect is getting the latest news, which will help you to gain a preliminary understanding of the market. So in our terminal, how can we just get the latest news? It is pretty simple. We can just switch to our terminal first, and on the right down corner, we can enter the shortcut news. Then we can enter into the financial news sector. We can see in our terminal, we provide a diversified news category for your needs. We can see on the left-hand side, we provide you like the micro news, Asia news, and also the bond news, which we are used the most often. And we can see in the bond column, we provide multiple categories which you may concerned, including we can see just like the bond, local government financing vehicle, property bond, industrial bond, Gongfu bond, and also which we may most concerned, the interest rate bond. So once we just click it, then we can see the latest news will all provided to you, which is related to the interest rate bond. So this part is pretty easy and simple to use for you. Okay, so we can just get all the related news which is related to bond or even the interest rate bond. And also at the same time, we can see on the left hand side, we also provide you one column just called briefing. We can just click over here, and we can see on the left hand side provide you the different column, and also in the briefing column, we may provide you like the Lu Jiazui financial breakfast on Wednesday, because today is Wednesday, right? And also we can see provide like the daily financial observation, domestic financial media, different kind of topics can provide it over here. And also because we are a bond trader, right? So we can see the domestic bond market pre-market information can just provide it over here. So once we just click over here, then we can see the latest news may be provided to you over here. This kind of information just provided in the morning, which is a pre-market preparation, may be used most often. We can see just like the open market information, news information can all be collected over here. So this is pretty easy for you to get information that you may use most frequent. So this is the news column, and in addition of that, you can also just subscribe the news that you most concerned. For example, we can just search the latest news which is related to interest rate bond. Then we can just click over here. Then all the news can just be found over here. And once you want to subscribe them, we just click the subscribe column over here. Then the result can just showing all which is related to the interest rate bond. So this is actually pretty easy for you to use on that. And once there is news, then alert will jump out for you. Okay, so what as I mentioned, we can see in the briefing column, it would like to provide you the pre-market information, which is related to like the Lujiazui Financial News Breakfast, Financial Street Afternoon Tea, and something which is in different topic or in different market. And in addition, we can see in the bond column, we may provide you with a real-time dynamic news over here, and also provide you different category as you want. So here is the most useful function for you on the pre-market preparation. And in the second part, we are going to introduce the key component of interest rate trading. After we finish the pre-market preparation, we are going to introduce the function which is highly related to the interest rate bond. And first of all is the money market, which provides the latest interest rate quotes. We can see, as we know, the price of the fund is an important indicator reflecting the market liquidity, and the degree of the ease or tightenings in fund may lead to various impact on the price of all financial assets. So we can just look on the money market, which provides the latest interest rate quotes. So again, we are going to just switch to our terminal, and we can just enter the shortcut, which is the IMN. Then we can enter into the money market overview. We can see in the page of the money market, we can overview all the key repo rate in time. We can see on the top over here, we provide you like the fixing repo rate and also the deposit-backed best interbank pledge repo can just be found over here. And also, in addition to the repo rate, we also provide you just like the Shanghai and the Shenzhen Security Exchange repo rate showing over here. And also like the SHIBOR rate can also be found over here. The SHIBOR rate is the key reference for the negotiable certificate of deposit, and which we would like to introduce later. So the SHIBOR rate is exactly also a good reference for the interest rate, and we can just find it over here. And we can see in the page, we also provide you the open market operation of the central bank on the right top corner over here. We can see there are a lot of information which is talking about the open market operation over here. And if you want to see the detail of the open market operation, you can just click more over here. Then we will jump into the central bank news, which will also provide you information which is related to the open market operation over here. So as we know, the open market operation will have a great influence on the interest rate. So later is the reason why in the money market page, we also provide the information of the money market operation. You can just find it over here. And also at the same time, other reference interest rate can also be found over here, which will be provide you exactly a good reference for all the interest rate which you may need. So we can see with all quotes, as I mentioned, they can just help the trader to facilitate the daily real-time trading. And also, at the same time, the emotional information is also a good reference for you. So such kind of emotional information can also provide just over here on the right down corner, just over here. So we can just monitor on the changing of the attitude of the market. But how can we get the information from that? We can see on the right down corner, we can see such kind of market liquidity information just showing over here. And if we want to see or even get the detail over here, we can just click the more button just over here. Then we can get a historical of the emotional changing over here. We can see such information is the market liquidity emotion index, which is provided by the market from the China Minsheng Bank, and such kind of information will all collected information about the operation of the money market, and also the money market trading information, and also the traders' emotion will all be taken into concern. Then we can just calculate and get the trend of the emotion index. And as we know, this is a historical data of the intraday of the emotion. So if you want to see the historical data, we can also click the more button over here. Then we can see the changing over here. We can see if the color is in green, means that the emotion is be more easier. And in the contrast, if the color is in red or even in orange or even in yellow, it means that the emotion is become tighter. So through this page, we can be really easy to find out the historical trading or the trending of the emotion of different data performance. You can just be find it over here. So this is about the trend of the emotion index in a less than 1 year. If you want to change the different date, you can just change as you want, just be showing over here. So it is in this page, it is really easy for you just to find out the best answer of liquidity emotion can just be find it over here. But there is one more question just be find it, is that in this page we can find the historical of the intraday emotion over here. But if we want to get information of the intraday result, how can we get it? Right? In this page, we can only find the yesterday result. But if I want to see the date performance of today, how can we take the information? It's pretty simple. We can see on the right down corner, we also provide you one more part called the CNext. We can just click over here. Then we can see in today's of the emotion index can also be finded over here, including the big bank or even the small bank. Such kind of emotion index can just be finded over here. Then we can see in this page we provide you 4 time point over here. In today we can see in the morning from 8:45 to 10:15 we can see the money market is a little bit tight. But we can see in the afternoon, right at 4 o'clock just before, we can see it is much tighter in the morning, much tighter than the morning. So if I'm an interest rate trader, if I want to make a trade or even making such kind of the movement of the fund, yeah, I would like to much prefer in the morning because it is exactly easier than the afternoon. So in this page or even such kind of emotion index can provide the trader a good reference for them to get the latest emotion, which will help them to make such kind of fund movement. Will be more easy for them to get such kind of movement on that. So this is the money market liquidity emotion index. In our page, we may not only provide you the historical data over here, and also the intraday data can also be finded over here. Okay. So what I mentioned, in this page, we will have a money market overview over here. We can get all the repo rate and also the SHIBOR rate. And in addition, if you want to get more detail, right? If you want to take more detail of the emotion index, in this page, we may provide you like the Minsheng Bank of the emotion index over here. And also the money market liquidity emotion intraday result can also be found over here. And also, by the way, with the ending of the LIBOR rate, as we know, the risk-free rate becomes the main reference rate for the foreign currency. So in this page, we can also get a related result just showing over here, which can serve as a replacement for the LIBOR. We can see once we click the risk-free rate over here, the other replacement rate can also be found over here. The world's most important benchmark interest rate can just be found also in this page. So therefore, in totally, the money market overview sector is the best use of the fund price quotes, which reflect the market liquidity. And all quotes can be found in just one page. Okay. So in this page, what I mentioned before, in the money market page, we provide the emotion index and also the risk-free rate can also be found over here. Okay. So, as I mentioned before, the SHIBOR rate is actually a good reference for a negotiable certificate of deposit, or even known as the NCD, which is known as the basic currency of the interbank lending. The daily issuance of the value of NCD is huge, and the issuance frequency is much higher than the government bond. So, exactly, the NCD plays a significant role, especially in the primary market. So we can also take a look on that. So how can we take a look on the NCD? It is also pretty simple. We can just enter the shortcut NCD, then we can enter into such kind of a page. We can see when we just enter the page, it provides an individual column just called the primary market over here, which is separate from the result of the issue over here. So it makes you more easy to realize the processing of the primary market. The properly reflecting the market supply and demand dynamically. So how can you explain such kind of processing? You can see in this page there is some number defined over here, there is a small number over here, there is a +1 over here. So what does it mean? It means that initially the price is going to be 1.25% over here, and after the negotiation between the supplier and the demander, the interest rate has been going up from 1.94 to 1.95. So that is exactly pretty easy for you to understand the processing between the supplier and the demander. Such kind of unique need, it is exactly a unique feature which may be showing in a primary market rather than only provide you the result of issue. So this page, it provides you the main difference from the result of issue is that it provides you the processing of the supplier and the demander, and such kind of processing may be shown in such kind of a small number over here, which will allow you to be more easy to understand such kind of processing. And at the same time, if you want to see such kind of a result, you can just click the result of issue, then we can see such kind of a result can show over here. The final interest rate can just be found over here, and also the final amount can also be found over here. So it is pretty easy for you, especially for the NCD trader. They can just find the latest primary result, and also the result of issuance can just be found over here. And in addition, the change of the spread is also a significant reference for the bond trader. So we also provide you a new column just called the NCD spread. In this page, you can also find the time structure of the NCD showing over here. And also the distribution of the individual bond can also be found over here. We can see there are a lot of different color points over here, and each kind of point just showing you one kind of the NCD. So we can see, you can find it, each point just represent one NCD, and it will provide you the latest trading result and the spread between the primary quotes and the secondary trade. Such kind of information can be a good reference for the trader, and if there is any greater deviation, a good trading opportunity may be there. So that is the reason why we can see there are different points over here. Each of point just represent one of the trading, and also there is a deviation between the primary quotes and also the secondary trade. So such kind of result can be more easy for you just to find over here. So we can see, especially for the trader, the primary market is actually pretty important for you. And also, the NCD spread can also be a good reference for them to find out that any kind of trading opportunity can just be found over here. Okay, so what I mentioned before, in this page, you would like to provide you the issuance rate of a negotiable certificate deposit, and also other important page can also be found just over here. Okay, so after we talking about the issuance of the NCD, if we want to broaden our viewpoint, how can we just get the information of the primary market? Right? In the last page, we've already talked about NCD's primary market, and today, if we want to see have a broad viewpoint on that, as you know, it is a smooth in the transmission between the primary issuance rate of the interest rate bond and the secondary market yield. So, take the primary market information into account is also important. So how can we take a look on that, or even have a forward looking on that? How can we do on that? It's pretty easy. And again, we can just go back to our terminal and enter the BDC to enter into the bond calendar. In the primary market, there is one column just called a bond calendar. We can see it exactly must have a strong connection between the primary market. We can see in this page, you can have a forward-looking viewpoint on the primary market. For example, we can see on the top over here, we can just click on new issues and we can choose a different bond over here. For example, because we are more focusing on the interest rate bond, right? So we can just click on the government bond and also the local government bond over here. Then we can see in this page, it will provide you the latest result of the new issue of the interest rate bond. We can see, take the government bond or even the policy bank bond, for example. There are 4 bonds has been issued today, and the total amount can also be found over here. And we can see such kind of the bid winning interest rate and also other marginal multiple, such kind of different indicator can just be found over here. And also, we can see just like the local government information can also be found over here again. We can see there's about 12 government bond has been issued today, and the amount can be found over here. So in the bond calendar, it will be really easy for you just to find out the latest issuance information over here. And also, what I mentioned before, if you are also want to take a look on the NCD, right? The NCD information can also be found over here. We can just expand such kind of column, then all the result can be found over here. Such kind of result must have be the same result with the money market, which we just mentioned before over here, the result of issue. Such kind of result must be the same over here. So there has been a strong connection between the different functions in our terminal. And in addition, we may not only provide you the latest or even the new issue information. We can see if we want to have a good forward looking on that, the future issuance is exactly a pretty important on that. Right? In generally, the issuance of the interest rate bond will be announced 2 days in advance. So, in making it convenient for the trader who need to participate in the primary bidding. So, how can we get such kind of information? We can just take an example in the tomorrow. We can see once we click the data on tomorrow, and we can see such kind of the forward-looking result can just be showing over here. We can see in tomorrow we will provide you just like the information, including like the government bond over here. We can see in tomorrow we would like to provide you the amount and also the bidding date will be shown over here. So it will allow you to be more easy, have a forward looking on that. We can see if we are pretty interested in one kind of the government bond, we can see the time is from 9:30 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. If you want to participate in such kind of bidding, we can just waiting over there and wait such kind of bidding. So such kind of the page can provide you an exactly a good forward-looking page just showing over here. Okay, so let's just going back to the new issue amount. And again, what I mentioned before, once such kind of result can be showing over here, we can see the bid range over here. And once if we want to see the more detail, we can just click the bid button, and such kind of the detailed result can download as you want. Okay, so on the date of bidding, the bidding result can also be found in this page. When we just click the bid button, as I mentioned, the detail can also all be provided to you. Okay, so at the same time, the wind news also typically release the relevant result after the bidding end. So you can just find a result in our news sector, just like the screenshot showing over here. We can see once such kind of the bond has been issued, such kind of the bidding has been finished, such kind of the information which should including like the won rate of the winning bid ratio, the full-time multiple, the marginal coverage ratio, such kind of information can all be just found in our news at the same time. So in the page of the bond calendar, it may not provide you the forward looking in the future, exactly the latest timeline news of the result of such kind of bidding can also be found in the page and also in the news sector. So it is actually pretty easy for you for using on that. Okay, so this is talking about the bond calendar. And okay, in reality, we have already just got several key components of the interest rate trading, right? Before we really dig into the trading, the bond future can also be a good reference for the interest rate bond price. So as we know, the Treasury bond futures are currently the largest interest rate bond derivatives in the China's security market, with a scale of 340,000 of the contract and a daily trading value of 150 billion yuan, which is roughly equivalent to the daily trading value of the bond market. So, like other interest rate products, the Treasury bond future can also have a good function on the price discovery and also a good tool for the hedging interest rate risk. So I will also take a few minutes on the T-bond futures. Okay, so how can we get into such kind of page? We can just enter the shortcut TF, enter into the T-bond futures. Okay, so in this page, we can see we would like to provide you a lot of codes of the T-bond futures, and we can just click one of them to take a look on that. We can see in order to help everyone to be a better tracker of the intraday trend of the Treasury futures, we offer a function called a big order bubble just over here. And once we click it, the current algorithm just determine whether the color is in red or in green just based on whether the price has changed due to the large order being placed. So we can just click the big order bubble over here, and we can just order the size setting over here. Take my setting, for example, I just choose that once the order is greater than 60, we can just view it as a greater order size. Once we click OK over here, we can see there are a few bubbles over here. For example, we can see if the color is in green, means that the price has been going up, and also the trading value has over 60. We can see in this time of the point is in the morning time 35. We can see the trading value is over 60, is about 73, and the price has been going up. So in this page, you can have a great notice on you for you to take a look on the price of the bond futures. And also we can see in the contrast, if the price going down, we can see the bubble will be in red. So it will be really easy for you to find out a great amount of the trading, which will be a good reference on the changing of the price trend. And as we know, since the settlement of the price of future is over announced after the market close, so for the convenience of the trading, we will calculate the settlement price in real time starting from 2:15 p.m. and display it in pink line. We can see over here, this pink line is exactly the settlement amount we showing over here. So the final prediction on the settlement will be shown over here. We can see such kind of the line is showing in pink, which will allow you to be more easy to have a settlement price announced, which will be announced by the China Financial Future Exchanges regardless of the contract maturity. Okay, so this is exactly estimated result can be found over here, which is exactly a good reference also for the bond trader. Okay, so in this page, I just provide you one more good tool, especially for the bond trader. In the T-bond futures, is exactly a good reference price on that. Okay, so until now, this is the last page of the second part, which just introduce the key component of the interest rate trading. And then we can just get into the real trading part of today's course. Okay, so in the last part, we are going to overview the dynamic of the bond market and to monitor different bond yields. Okay, during the trading period, how to reach the latest bond market trend is the key point. So in our terminal, the bond overview is the front page for the bond trader. You may not only get the latest bond price, but also monitor the interest anchor, just like the T-bond or even the CDB bond. Okay, so how can we just get into the front page of it? It's pretty simple. Again, just going back to our terminal and enter the shortcut number 5. Then we can enter into the bond overview sector. We can see in this page, it will include the 6 major parts in one page, which are the bond trader most frequent use. And some of them we have already just introduced before, so we can just be more focusing on the new part over here. So we can see, let's just start it with on the left up corner over here. This is about the asset price, which is the key assets which may related to the bond trading. We can see on the left upper corner, we can see just like the 10 years government bond of the bond futures, which we have already introduced before. So this is that. So that is the reason why that I just introduced to you which the bond future can have a great price discovery on the bond price. And again, we can see not only provide you the bond futures, just like the other information, including just like the exchanges over here, the spot exchanges, and also just like the CDB bond and also the T bond, the price can also be found over here. So it is exactly have a great influence on that. So we can have a key assets price showing over here. Any of them may have an influence on the bond price can also be found over here in this page. And also, in the center, we can get a trading result in the different bond and the duration. We can see which can help the investor to catch the daily volatility and the time structure over here. For example, we are be more focusing on the interest rate bond, right? So we can just click over here and we can see, take the T bond 10 years, for example, we can see in today's the interest rate has been dropped down. So in this page, we can get the latest of the price quotes just showing over here. And also, in the remaining part over here, we have all been just introduced. We can see just like the leading price over here. We can see just like the DR001 and the DR07. Such kind of the interest rate has been introduced before in the IMM page, in the money market page. So we will not take too much time on that. And also, at the same time, we can see just like the bond news, we have also just introduced you before. And also just like the issuance of the NCT and also the open market operation. All information we have already just introduced before, but we can see in the front page of the bond overview will all be just collected over here. So that's the reason why in the front page I just take a lot of time to introduce to you, because all such kind of function is pretty easy to use and also have a great influence on the bond trader. So we can see in this page we can just make it more clear. In this page we provide you just like the asset price and also the latest trading result being shown over here, and other related information can also be found in just one page. So it is exactly pretty easy for you on that. So with the bond overview, it is easy to catch up the whole dynamic of the bond market. Okay, so what I just mentioned before, on the left we can see the latest key assets changing, and also in the center we will provide you the trading result over here, and also in the page also provide you like the lending price and also the bond news. Such kind of information we've already introduced before, which is also pretty important again. Okay, so this is about the bond overview, which is the front page for the bond trader. And as the interest rate bond trader, you should also take the market liquidity into account. So after the new bond are listed, they typically just surpass the old bond in liquidity after the issuance exceed a certain scale. So the investor can just observe the transaction value of the most active bond to anticipate the bond switching window period. Once the transaction value drops down gradually, so the bond trader may need to switch to the active one. So in our terminal, we can also find such kind of the switching processing. So how can we do on that? It's pretty simple. Again, we're just going back to our terminal, and we can just enter the shortcut. The shortcut is just the CDB 10 years, for example. Then we can just enter into this page. Then when we get into this page, this is the trend of the CDB bond, which is the most active trading interest rate bond in China bond market. We can see right now the most frequent traded bond is the number 240210. We can see just find it over here. This is exactly the most frequent traded bond. And before the switching of the bond, we can see the last frequent traded bond is this one, 240205. This is the last bond which is traded most frequently. So we can see in this page right now, the page the most frequent bond is showing over here, and the last frequent trade bond is showing over here, and also the former one can also be found over here. Is the 230210. So we can see in this page, after new bond is listed, the liquidity typically surpasses the old bond, and the new bond usually have a lower yield compared to the old bond. For investor holding until maturity, older bond often just provide a higher return. So while for the trader, the new bond can just provide a higher capital gain. So with such kind of index can help the trader to just catch up the more trading opportunity. We can see such kind of the color in dark or in light means that there is the processing of the switching. So we can see right now the latest one is 240210, and such kind of processing of the switching can just be shown in a different color. So it's pretty easy for you to get up or even to catch up such kind of opportunity of the switching processing. Okay, so this is actually pretty easy for you to catch up such kind of opportunity over here. And also other information related to the most active bond can also be found over here. So in this page, it is exactly a good also a good reference for you to catch up the most active bond just shown over here. Okay. So as I mentioned before, the investor can just observe the trading value of the new bond, and also we can just view the processing of the switching between the old bond and the new bond. This is about the continuous bond yield sector showing over here. Okay. And finally, after we have an overview on the bond market trend and also the most active bond, you may also want to build up your own panel for monitoring the latest bond price or other key assets, right? So in our terminal, our can also provide you a function just called a bond pad. It is a good bond monitor tool using primarily for the professional bond investment and also the trading personnel. So how can we get in this function and also build up our own panel? Again, we can just going back to our terminal, and we are going to enter the shortcut. The shortcut is BP, which is the bond pad section. We can see once we just type in the BP, we will show an individual panel just be shown over here. We can see, we can just move over here. We can see this is exactly a different panel just showing over here. So this is a little bit different from our terminal. It is exactly an individual separated function showing over here. We can just build up your own watching panel just by adding different bond with different category and maturity. We can see, we can just take the CDB bond mentioned before for the reference. Then we can just find the latest trading bond right now. For example, we can just click the plus button over here, and we can just enter the bond which is traded frequently before. As I mentioned, the most frequent trade bond is 240205. This bond is the most frequent trade bond showing over here, and we can just press enter. Then we can see the latest information or even the quote price can just be found over here. It is exactly pretty easy for you to add up any kind of a bond or even different kind of assets can just be shown over here. I can just show you again. For example, we may not only just take a look with the bond, right? We can also take a look just like the other assets like the stock can also maybe have a great influence on that. We can just enter any kind of stock also be shown over here. For example, 600519, which is the Guizhou Maotai, then we can just press enter. Then again, such kind of other assets can also be shown over here in just one panel. So this panel, which is pretty easy to use, is not only you can just add up the bond asset over here, you can also just add up other kind of assets, just like, for example, the stock over here, or even we can see like the foreign exchange over here, and also other kind of stock index can also be found over here. And again, on the top over here, I've already added up a lot of bond just showing over here, and also like a different kind of interest rate, or even the government bond futures can also all be found in just one page. So in this page, you can just build up your own panel, and also at the same time, you can just change the different kind of setting over here, like the different color, different font, or even the time axis can also be found over here. And also, if you want to make the different each panel be larger, you can just make it be fewer showing over here. Then the result can just be more larger showing over here. So in this page, it is pretty easy for you to just build up your own page, and you can just switch in a different place and as you want. So it is pretty easy for you to use on that. You can just add up any kind of asset to be showing over here. And also, if you have two screens on your trading, you can just put this page on your another screen, which can allow you to be more easy to trade, be more efficiently. Okay, so as I mentioned before, this page is an individual part which can allow you to be more easy to build up your personalized watching panel. Okay, so the bond pad is exactly a real-time and independent monitoring tool, which is exactly separated from our terminal. You can just build up your own panel as you want, and exactly if you have two screens, you can just move this page to another screen, which will allow you to be to trade to be more efficiently. Okay. So this is the last page about today's bond market overview and monitoring, which we introduced the function called the bond pad. Okay, so until now, we have already just finished the first training program, which is related to the money market and interest rate bond. So if you have any question, just let me know, and I will try my best to answer the question that you ask.